Captain Chow was summoned urgently that morning. He rushed to the headquarters. It was too crowded in the morning to get from the dormitory to the headquarters, so he couldn't take a cab. He had to run, which made him sweat a lot. Everyone could see that there was a serious case that required Captain Chow's attention, which was why he was in such a hurry. And as expected, as soon as he walked into the office, Boss Lu Feng asked him to lead some people to the end of the town. Captain Chow wanted to learn more about the case so that it could be handled efficiently. According to the village newspaper, there had been many disappearances and murders in recent days, said Boss Lu Feng.
Was it because of a wild animal?
Captain asked.
According to reports, the culprit was the ghost of an elderly woman and her cat.
This surprised the captain because despite having seen many strange cases, the ghost of an old woman and a cat could kill people still very shockingly. People were currently confused because it was a remote village. People believed the police wouldn't care, so they might act quickly to assist people. When Captain Chow heard this, he immediately took orders and set off. He and his comrades went to village in casual clothes to make the quest easier. When they arrived, the village chief greeted them enthusiastically and cheerfully. The captain went straight to the point and inquired about the case. On the way, the chief told them that the story began with an old woman named Lang, and that when she died, everything had changed. She was over 70 years old this year and lived with a son and daughter-in-law, but the son frequently worked far away and the daughter-in-law frequently cursed at her. Because she was an elderly woman, she often wet her pants with urine unconsciously. The daughter-in-law was so frustrated that she had to do the laundry all day, so she yelled at her constantly. She could only keep quiet when she heard that she was too old and her living only made her children and grandchildren unhappy. The only thing that brought her comfort was her cat, what had been with her for over 10 years. She hugged the cat and went into the room that day, but she didn't go out of the room the next day. The son came home from work and heard that his mother was still in the room, so he went in to find and comfort her. He believed that his wife was just talking nonsense and that his mother didn't need to pay attention to that. He opened the door and walked in, but the scene in front of him astounded him. The old woman hanged herself in her room, probably to not burden her children. The cat, what was lying beneath her body, also stared at him angrily and hissed in a frightening manner. It then darted past him and fled. He took his mother's body down quickly and bemoaned the fact that he did not take better care of her. He cried a lot at this point because he thought he was so unfaithful that his mother had to commit suicide. But no matter how much he cried, his mother could not be revived. But it looked like his mother didn't want to die. Her eyes remained open wide and filled with hatred. Because the funeral required extensive preparations, her body was still kept in the house. That night, the wife was gathering firewood to cook. All of a sudden, she screamed out because she saw something. When the husband heard his wife screaming, he rushed to the scene. The old woman's cat died behind the firewood after being poisoned by rat poison. Suddenly there was a loud noise coming from the room where the old woman's body was found. The son thought his mother was still alive. He was upbeat. He dashed in there to check and his wife followed him. When they arrived, they were both taken aback. The mother was standing tall in front of them, as if nothing had happened. The daughter-in-law became nervous, but the son still believed his mother was alive, so he called out to her. Suddenly, the old woman turned around, her face disfigured into that of a cat, complete with bright green eyes and fangs. When she saw the two of them, she squealed like a cat and became extremely angry. Her face looked extremely frightening. She pounced on them, her movements as quick as those of a cat. The terrified wife fled immediately, left her husband behind. Obviously, this was his mother's body, so the husband had no time to react out of astonishment. She was no longer a person at this point. Looked like the other cat had entered her body, and it didn't care who the son was anymore. It immediately attacked him with its claws. She pinned him down, unable to resist, and tore all of his flesh with her cat claws. He screamed for his mother to let him go, but to no avail. The cat seemed to hate him so much that it continued to tear up his flesh. At this point, the wife bolted, screaming for help as she ran. She ran through the neighbor's house, banging on the door, hoping that someone would save her. When neighbors heard the knock on the door, they gathered to see what was going on. After hearing her story, young men in the village took up some sticks and went over to investigate. They entered the gate and called for her husband, but no one answered, so they began to take precautions. As they dug deeper into the house, they noticed bloodstains on the ground. It looked like footprints started from inside the house. When they realized this, they let one of them to guard outside while the other two went inside the house. The dim lighting made it difficult for them to see their surroundings, but the stench of blood was unbearable. The husband's body gradually appeared under the bright moonlight, causing them to panic. His body and face were ripped apart by deep scratches, and it appeared that he was extremely terrified before he died. They were startled when they heard a loud noise outside. They all dashed out to check. They were now frozen by the scene. The old woman was sitting on the roof, but her posture was that of a cat. With a cat's face, its big mouth full of sharp teeth, it looked at everyone and then squealed ferociously. Then she fled from house to house, then vanished. Now the daughter-in-law also became insane. Chickens and ducks in the village, as well as the children, were being stolen. The village chief was expecting that the children would be found soon. Captain Chow stated that they would stay for 2 days in order to investigate the case. The village chief was overjoyed, and he arranged for them to stay at the village guest home. Following that, the two of them began to split up and patrol the village at night. There were still no leads by the second night, and the captain kept patrolling the area. Suddenly, he noticed someone acting suspiciously. He had his face covered and a sack in his hand. He exited from a resident's house, looked like a thief. Captain Chow immediately came forward to ask for clarification, but he didn't seem to want to answer and appeared to be scared. The captain kicked him in the back just as he was about to flee, causing him to fall. He then rushed over to restrain him and question him about his behavior. He tied the guy up and went to look inside the sack and discovered that he was the one who abducted children in the village. The captain returned the child to the family before escorting the criminal away. He heard screams and gunshots on his way back to his room. Knowing something had happened to his comrade, he quickly tied the kidnapper to a tree and fled to the site. When the captain arrived at the location and saw that his comrade had been seriously injured on the arm, he inquired about the situation. When the comrade saw the captain, he quickly informed about the situation. He noticed a person sitting in the corner while patrolling the village. When he approached the person to inquire, she suddenly turned her face. It was the old woman possessed by a cat, and she was eating a raw chicken. In the dark, her eyes glowed with a frightening green light, so he quickly pulled out his gun and asked her to surrender, but she seemed to not understand what he was saying. She threw the half-eaten chicken to his face. He reached out his hand reflexively to prevent it. She rushed to attack him at that precise moment. She was lightning fast, her nails were razor sharp, and she broke his arm in deep cuts. Not allowing her to flee, the officer quickly turned around and fired a gunshot at her. The bullet struck on her right shoulder, causing her to howl in agony. Captain Chow bandaged his shady comrade and they both pursued the elderly woman. But there was no trace of her, only a pool of blood found on the ground. The captain returned to the headquarters and ordered a large number of police officers to search for her because she was injured and couldn't run far. Very soon after receiving intelligence, the police arrested and shot an elderly cat-faced woman, transporting her to the headquarters for forensic examination. Both of them, as well as Boss Lu Feng, were summoned to confirm whether or not it was her. Forensic removed the white sheet and Boss Lu Feng summoned the captain and his comrade to come and identify them. Because of her frightening appearance, they could identify her just by looking at the first sight. It was a cat-faced old lady with numerous bullet wounds on her body. According to the investigation, the children were also discovered, and the person who was arrested was a trafficker who had nothing to do with the cat-faced old lady. Rumors and articles about the elderly woman were widely circulated at the time. It was exaggerated so much that people still mention it years later.